just last year when we ran the survey, or in 2022, I should say, it was completely opposite to what we found this time. Every single measure of job satisfaction was up amongst those who switched jobs. But this year, overall job satisfaction was down by over 5 percentage points, and it was down across most of the 26 components of satisfaction that we measure. So a big swing, and we agree with your summary that sometimes the grass isn't necessarily greener on the other side, and could be for a range of factors that this is happening. But we definitely see that this year, those who have switched jobs during the pandemic are less satisfied than those who stayed.
Do we know what was the primary reason people did switch jobs during the pandemic? Was any different than other times, which is maybe higher pay or just a better opportunity?
Yeah, there were really pay increases during the pandemic that we hadn't seen for well over a decade. That's fairly well documented too, that some workers were receiving 20, 30% better offers just for switching jobs. And we think that maybe some people took those offers without really thinking about the other elements that lead to happiness at work and contentment at work, like who you work with and whether the organization is going to invest in your career growth and many other things. So they went for the money, maybe, and now they're starting to regret it.
I mean, it's so true. Like, the older I get, the more that I try and really distill down what makes me happy day to day, and it's so helpful. I mean, it took me a long time to figure that out, but it's so helpful in understanding it. And sometimes staying put is the answer. You had a great point out that says once an employee hits a 3-year mark, satisfaction increases substantially. Talk us through that.
Yeah, that's also a difference from what we've seen, not only in our own research, but there's a good amount of research out there that shows that usually it's people who have shortened their tenure. They start a new job, they're happy, there's a honeymoon period, and their engagement and their satisfaction levels are usually higher than people with more tenure. But this year in our satisfaction survey, we saw the opposite. And that goes with the finding that job switchers are less satisfied than job stayers, maybe for some of the same reasons. Those who switch jobs, they're the people who are in the positions with less than 3 years tenure, and they're seeing that, things aren't quite as good as they might have hoped, even if their wages are higher than if they had stayed. So that's really good reinforcement that those two elements that we examined in this report really complement each other.
And Allan, your survey kind of goes to an issue Alix and I were just talking about today. The least satisfied group is fully on-site workers. The hybrid model wins the day. I guess the hybrid model, that is the new normal for the foreseeable future, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think employers, or most employers, if not all, see the benefits of the hybrid model. You get the best of both worlds if it's done right. Some employees who can work from home may be more productive at home for some types of work. But when it comes to collaboration, building trusted relationships and innovation, they're at work for several days a week. So if they do it right, they're getting the best of both worlds. But what's really interesting is that workers see this too. Even though we see sometimes that workers say, I'd love to work 5 days remote, maybe they also see the benefits of being with their colleagues 2 or 3 days a week.
There's literally no bone in my body that ever wants to work at home again. Like the 8 weeks during COVID with a camera set up in my living room was more than enough. Are we noticing any distinction in terms of the types of jobs we're talking about, in terms of, say, women versus men, or any ethnicity?
We did see big differences with women. So for the 7th year in a row, women are significantly less satisfied than men, and that gap grew between 2022 and 2023. And, those, the main reasons or drivers of that dissatisfaction are around pay, whether that's wages or bonuses or even promotions, and also around the flexibility of work. So by that I mean some of the benefits like vacation and family leave. And it's not too surprising because we see that even in 2024, women are making 82.5 cents on the dollar for men, and that most of the burden of care, whether it's for kids or parents, and most of the household work falls on women still. So this is really reflected in results and for the past 7 years. We did not collect data on race. We are contemplating doing that, race and ethnicity next year.
Hey, Alan, how important are some of the, I don't know, the fringe perks, whether it's a foosball table, food, coffee machine, those things that really came to the forefront during the pandemic as employers tried to lure employees back to the office? It seems like a lot of companies made a lot of investments in that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think you're right. We don't measure that specifically. We don't have a measure for sort of some of those extra perks that you're talking about, but we know, that organizations are doing their best to lure people to the office, and they're trying not to command people back to the office with those extra perks. And probably it's a good idea. Whether it has as much impact as a good health plan, probably not, or even a good, strong, talent culture where people collaborate and respect each other, probably not. But some of those things definitely help to entice people back to the office.